Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fixing Up official channel. Today, we're discussing a major global development that could reshape international politics for years to come. The United States has announced its withdrawal from 66 international organizations, including both UN and non-UN entities. This decision has sparked intense debate across the world, praised by some as a strategic assertion of national sovereignty and criticized by others as a risky step away from global cooperation. So, what does this decision really mean? Who does it affect and how? Let's break this down clearly, calmly, and objectively. Under the Trump administration, the United States decided to withdraw from these 66 international organizations, marking a significant shift in how the US approaches global engagement and multilateral cooperation. The organizations affected operate across a wide range of sectors: climate policy, development, health, gender equality, security, governance, science, and humanitarian assistance. Under the Trump administration, this withdrawal was framed within an America First policy approach, emphasizing national sovereignty, reduced financial commitments, and freedom from multilateral constraints. The underlying assumption was that international institutions may, at times, limit national decision-making or impose obligations not aligned with domestic priorities. Here, it highlights a clear numerical split. 31 organizations are linked to the United Nations system. 35 organizations are non-UN entities. This distinction is important because UN and non-UN institutions play different roles in global governance. UN-linked entities primarily focus on global public goods like climate action, population and health, women's empowerment, urban development, peacebuilding, and human rights. Withdrawing from these bodies reduces US participation in multilateral humanitarian and development frameworks that rely on collective coordination. For example, climate action is coordinated through the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, where countries negotiate emissions goals. Population and health programs are supported by the United Nations Population Fund, which works on maternal health and family planning. Women's empowerment initiatives are led by UN Women, promoting gender equality and legal protections worldwide. Urban development is addressed by UN Habitat, focusing on sustainable cities and housing. And peacebuilding and human rights efforts are coordinated through bodies like the United Nations Peacebuilding Commission, helping stabilize post-conflict regions. By withdrawing from these UN-linked organizations, the United States reduces its participation in multilateral humanitarian and development frameworks that depend on collective funding, shared decision-making, and global coordination. Non-UN entities, on the other hand, often emphasize renewable energy cooperation, environmental protection, democracy and rule of law, migration management, cybersecurity, and counterterrorism. These institutions are generally more technical and policy-focused, rather than politically binding, but they still influence global standards and best practices. Let's understand this one also with example. Renewable energy cooperation is handled by groups like the International Renewable Energy Agency, which helps countries to share technology and policy frameworks for clean energy. Environmental protection is supported by organizations such as the International Union for Conservation of Nature, which provides scientific guidance on biodiversity and conservation. Democracy and rule of law initiatives are promoted by institutions like the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, offering technical support for electoral systems and governance reforms. Migration management is coordinated through bodies such as the International Organization for Migration, which assists governments in managing migration flows and humanitarian responses. Cybersecurity and counterterrorism cooperation takes place in forums like the Global Counterterrorism Forum, where countries exchange best practices and policy expertise. These organizations do not enforce laws, but they shape global norms, technical standards, and policy coordination, which is why withdrawal still carries strategic consequences. Now, let's discuss how will it impact the United States. From an analytical standpoint, the impact on the US can be viewed in two directions. Potential advantages include greater national policy autonomy, reduced financial contributions to international bodies, increased flexibility in bilateral negotiations, stronger alignment with domestic political priorities. However, there are also significant risks: reduced influence in shaping global rules, limited ability to lead international agendas, weakened alliances with long-standing partners, fewer platforms for diplomatic engagement. Under the Trump administration, this trade-off was largely accepted as a strategic choice favoring independence over multilateral leadership. As we know, USA is largest economy in the world and has biggest contribution in many organizations. It will also impact global. So let's discuss what will be the global impact. Globally, the withdrawal creates uncertainty. On one hand, it may allow other countries to take on larger leadership roles within international institutions. On the other hand, it can lead to slower global coordination, funding gaps in humanitarian and development programs, fragmentation of international governance, increased geopolitical competition. Many global challenges, such as climate change, pandemics, and migration, require collective responses. Reduced participation by a major power can weaken the effectiveness of these efforts. Now, let's move to my conclusion of this move. My conclusion is that under the Trump administration, the US withdrawal from 66 international organizations represents a major shift in US global engagement. This decision reflects a strategic preference for national control over multilateral cooperation. However, the long-term outcomes remain uncertain, both for the United States and for the global system as a whole. Whether this shift ultimately strengthens national independence or contributes to long-term isolation will depend on how global challenges evolve and how international cooperation adapts in response. If you found this video informative, please subscribe and like this channel. It motivates and inspires me to make more such informative videos for you. And don't forget, write your opinion or suggestions in the comment box below. Thank you for watching.